technology built by grillers for grillers, 6-year warranty. So, one of the if I see something, I'm going to say something because I don't have any fear of being wrong. If I'm wrong, what's going to happen? Are you going to eat me? I'm fine. Okay, I don't mind being wrong. And so I remember years and years ago, I worked at the other place. Randy Moss was a Patriot, and they were just crushing the league. But he'd been there a few years, and all of a sudden there was a Monday night game, New England against Miami, and they targeted Randy Moss one time. And I came on the air Tuesday, I said, he's getting traded. And I got nothing but crap. I got crap from my bosses. They're like, you just can't say that. And I said, I'm in the opinion space. He's going to get traded. You don't target Randy Moss with Tom Brady one time. They're taking him out of the playbook. John Goulet was there, my producer. John, you know what happens. What happened, John?
Randy Moss got traded.
Yeah. When I see stuff, I'm going to tell you because I don't care if I'm wrong, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to withhold information. So I've been thinking Tua was going to be a nice pro. And then as Joy and I do this show every day, I'm watching all this video come in all the time at practice. And I'm thinking, okay, we're going to have a Tua debut. And I watch Justin Herbert, big and strong, and Burrow and Josh Allen and Lamar. And I'm watching all these young quarterbacks, and they're one of two things: big men or wildly athletic. And so I had an epiphany. I said, Tua's not going to work. He'll win games. I mean, Trubisky wins games. He's not going to be what we think he is. He's not going to be what I think he is. So yesterday he debuts. And that was my epiphany, is that he looks small, and he doesn't have a dynamic arm, and the coaching staff protected him, and they had 8 first downs and 90 net passing yards, and he was bad on third down, and they almost never maintained drives. I'm not making a judgment just off one game, but when I see stuff, I'm going to say stuff. And I watch Joe Burrow and his everything about him I like, and he's got an okay arm, but he's dynamic. He moves around. I see Herbert. He had a terrible pick yesterday. Herbert makes huge mistakes, but I see dynamic. And I never saw Andrew Luck, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson. Well, I did a little bit. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. I don't feel like their coaches are protecting him. And I kind of feel like yesterday they just protected him. And I don't think you do that if you're at practice and you see him and you think, just let him go. Now, the next 2 weeks he takes on Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray, or Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert in that order. We'll know a lot more then. But this is, when I watched it yesterday, Tua's going to win games. That's not the point here. This is a really good coaching staff, and this was a perfect game. I predicted Miami would beat the Rams. I said, this is a bad spot for the Rams. Short week Monday Night Football, 3,000-mile flight, early 10 o'clock Pacific window. That's a terrible spot for a football team. Miami was off a bye. Miami got 8 to 10 more days of prep for this game. That's a terrible spot to go up against Brian Flores. You're not going to win that game. Not a lot of teams going to win that game. Pittsburgh probably wins it. Kansas City wins it. Rams aren't going to win that game. So I picked Miami. But that Tua thing, that's what I saw. I see small. I don't see dynamic. I think in this league, you got to be one or two things. You got to be like 28 of the 30 best quarterbacks I've seen in my life are big men. I'm 6'2". They're taller than me slightly or above. Aaron Rodgers is on the small end, 6'2.5". They're big men. And if they're not, Fran Tarkenton, Russell Wilson, Michael Vick, they run around like crazy, open up passing lanes. The only exception is Drew Brees. And boy, you're asking a lot for a college kid to come into the NFL and say, all right, you're small and not very mobile. You've got to be Drew Brees to win. That's asking a lot. That is like landing, that's like throwing out a quarter and telling, an airplane to land on it. It's not the easiest spot to land on. So maybe I'm wrong. But this news came out yesterday. Adam Schefter reported what we had been talking about for months. Why did Miami sit red-hot veteran Ryan Fitzpatrick? Because Miami's got Houston's first-round pick, and it's a top 5 pick, and they're going to move if Tua, after 8 games, doesn't have it. It's not about winning. It's not about stats. Burrow's not winning every week. Herbert's not winning much. It's not about that. It's about it. Lamar's got some it. Josh Allen's got some it. Even Drew Lock's got some it. Does Tua have it? I saw yesterday, it looked like what I worried about. Not a lot of it there. Very tightly coached and prepared and protected. That's what I saw. Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News. Well, the Eagles remain atop the NFC East after a hideous win over the Cowboys.
Did they win any other way?
I mean, that game was something. Carson Wentz committed 4 turnovers, boosting his total giveaways this season to 16, which is the most in the NFL. But the Cowboys couldn't get anything done offensively with third-string quarterback Ben DiNucci.
We knew that, yeah.
And had to settle for 3 field goals and at least 49 yards long in the 23-9 loss.
Yeah, it was ugly. We were joking about it in our staff meeting this morning. In their last 12 games, they're 7-4-1. I mean, with catastrophic injuries. I can't think of any other win. They all look like this. Like, this is how Philadelphia now is basically winning, which is we're just bailing water and trying to keep the boat afloat to shore.
But this was
bad.
This was bad, but the Cowboys were just way worse. I mean, Ben DiNucci tried. It is what it is. They're not a great football team, and what was already not great got much, much worse. Now, if you look at the NFC East, the Eagles are atop the NFC East at 3-4-1. Then Washington is in second place at 2-5, Cowboys 2-6, and the Giants 1-6. So it's a disaster of a division, as we know. But
Philadelphia's going to win that.
Yes, it's looking like that's going to be the case.
Not just because of record, is when I watch them, Lane Johnson's coming back, Miles Sanders, Zach Ertz. They're all coming back here soon.
Well, they're finding ways to win. Like, I mean, that's a pretty tough game to lose yesterday, but they certainly tried.
Yeah.
With 4 turnovers.
Well, the first half they really tried hard.
Yes. What's going to be interesting to me is when Andy Dalton comes back, because there is still a significant amount of football left to play. This still could come down to the wire in this division because it is so bad, but that was catastrophic. Zeke had 19 carries for 63 yards and 1 reception for 10 yards. DiNucci was 21 of 40, 180 yards, 2 fumbles, and was sacked 4 times. It just was an ugly game.
Yeah.
So Cam Newton had the Patriots in position to tie the game late and potentially go to overtime with the Bills, but fumbled. This allowed Buffalo to take a knee and hang on to the 24-21 win. And after the game, Cam spoke about his frustration following his game-ending mistake.
It affects me more that, I still am jeopardizing this team's success because of my lackluster performances of protecting the football. So, Coach trusts me with the ball in my hands, and I wouldn't want it any other way, and I just got to do a better job with protecting it.
It's a really rough ending.
By the way, I know nobody cares about Buffalo outside of Buffalo. You can't put that New England team away. They've got nothing left. I watched that game. I thought less of Buffalo.
Yeah.
You got a good team thumps New England. Is Belichick that good of a coach?
Well, I mean, it is a division game, so sometimes those just are unexplainable. But I'm with you. I thought this was less about obviously like Cam fumbling in that fashion when you have a like that's devastating.
Listen, we know what New England is.
Right.
They're rebooting for the draft. We know what they are now.
I thought I learned more about Buffalo. Yesterday.
Was like, I'm sorry, but you're a Cam fumble from losing to a team. Edelman, Gilmore, 8 opt-outs. It's like, sorry. I mean, I don't know what happened to Buffalo at about week 5, but like they're not Super Bowl bubble. The way Miami's playing right now, they're not winning that division.
I don't know if I'm ready to go that far because I need to see more in the next couple of weeks from Tua with that change. But yeah, I mean they're not playing the same way they were at the beginning of the season. Dalvin Cook put on a show in his first game back from groin injury. He scored 4 touchdowns on 226 total yards from scrimmage and gave the Vikings their second win of the year.
Look at these holes. Look at Joey. How do you create a 5 to 6 foot hole routinely against Green Bay?
Well, the Packers' rushing defense is 15th in the league. They're allowing 119 yards per game. Dalvin Cook is very good. Like when he's healthy, like that's what he's capable of doing. Aaron Rodgers connected with Devontae Adams for 3 touchdowns throughout the game and had a chance for a Hail Mary at the end of the game, but the Vikings forced a fumble with 12 seconds left, securing the 28-22 win. But I think I'm starting to, again, division game, so I don't want to get crazy.
That's right.
But
Green Bay's got a hole.
I'm with you.
By the way,
with you now.
Dalvin Cook's a fascinating player. Not the fastest back, not the strongest back, not the shiftiest back. But when he is healthy, I think he's the best back. And I don't know how to explain it. Like, it would be if Mahomes was the best quarterback and you're like, he's not the biggest, he didn't have the best arm, he's not. Usually with quarterback, you have to have something that we're like, okay, you can't even define what Dalvin Cook's a fascinating player. There's everybody in the league does something a little better. Maybe it's because he's an A- at everything, but every time I watch him when he's healthy, he's the best football player on the field.
He has the potential to go off like that. And I think I'm with you. I think that Green Bay's whole is physicality.
Like, it's not even debatable.
When they lose, like that's what happens.
When I watched that game, I was taken back by how large the holes were. They were 5 and 6 feet. It's like there is a way to play Green Bay, and we keep seeing physical teams do it over and over again. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Let's bring in Michael Vick, 13 years in the NFL and a 4-time Pro Bowler. And we've talked a lot about quarterbacks. I said what worries me about Tua is that he is smaller but doesn't have any wiggle. And like if I compared him to Mike Vick, Mike had a bigger arm and Mike was much more electric. If Mike couldn't move around like Mike and was Mike Vick's height, Mike Vick wouldn't have been Mike Vick. When you're smaller, you have trouble with passing lanes. You got to give me some special arm escapability. Mike Vick now joining us, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.